What's up guys, I'm Justin Stenstrom from Elite Man Magazine, and in this video I'm going to share with you the top 5 ways to overcome depression and how to beat it once and for all. So you may not know this, but about 300 million people globally suffer from depression at any given moment, and of these 350 million people, 800,000 every single year end up killing themselves from suicide because of this depression. Not to mention about 7 to 11% of Americans currently have depression, depending on which study you look at, and about 1/3 of all Americans will have depression characteristics or behaviors at some point in their lives. And the sad thing is that this number just keeps going up and the depression rates just keep climbing, and it's affecting our youth more and more. More and more children, unfortunately, are becoming depressed at younger ages. So with that said, I want to give you my best 5 tips today for how to beat depression, how to overcome depression, and how to make sure depression never comes back into your life ever again. Because trust me, as someone who went through depression, someone who had suicidal depression actually at one point, to the point where I was just having suicidal thoughts all the time, I know just how bad it can be, and I know how crippling it can be in your life. Which, by the way, is why I wrote the book Elite Mind, to help you overcome anxiety, help you overcome depression, and help you get confidence and self-belief so that these things never come back again. Go to elitemindbook.com right now to check it out and get yourself a copy. Well, let's dive right into it. The 5th best way to overcome depression, make sure it never comes back and beat it for good, is to practice gratitude. So about 70% of the average person's thoughts are non-productive or negative throughout the day, which, if you think about it, leaves very little room for you to actually think positive, good thoughts, and then to actually feel good about the things that you're doing in your life. And this, by the way, is just for the average person. If you are depressed or severely depressed, this number can skyrocket and go way past 90%. So most of the day is you spent thinking non-productive or negatively, and this is going to impact the way you're actually feeling and your emotions. And as it turns out, one of the best ways to combat this vicious cycle is to just actively think more positively throughout the day. Have those positive thoughts and tip that scale from being in the 70 to 90% range to going back over to this side and maybe actually being like 70% positive or 90% positive, which is crazy to actually do that, but even swaying it just a little bit onto that end is going to do a great deal for your health. And it just so happens that practicing gratitude is one of the best ways to swing that scale back into your favor and actually think more positively, and hence feel more positively and better throughout the day. So when you practice gratitude, you literally just take a couple of minutes throughout the day, anytime you're feeling down, or just constantly reminding yourself like every hour to do this, but think for a couple of minutes of all the things that you're blessed with, all the things that you're thankful or grateful for that you have in your life. And these could be the smallest things in the world. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to be rich or have a fancy car or a fancy house. Just the smallest things will do, and it will actually suit you probably even better than materialistic things if you really think about it. Because as you know, materialistic things come and go, but the things that actually have meaning to you, your beliefs, your values, your feelings, your emotions, your friends, your family, those things will never leave. They'll always be by your side or within you, and those are the things you really have to covet that are most important to you. So even just thinking about things like having running water, having heat, having food, having a roof over your head, those smallest things in the world that we overlook on a day-to-day basis, thinking about that constantly and thinking of how appreciative and blessed you are to have those types of things can actually change you from thinking negatively to thinking positively. And then when you start to do this constantly throughout the day, you swing that pendulum back over to your side of where you're having positive thoughts again, and that depression just goes away. It's really incredible how quickly you're going to start to see things change and how much better you're going to feel when you start to actively do this. The 4th best way to overcome depression and keep it off for good is to join a community that you feel like you belong to. One of the more insidious ways for depression to creep up on people is when they feel like they don't belong to a community, when they feel like they don't have friends or family that care about them, or a tribe or just group of people that they belong to. If they're missing this in their lives, this can directly lead to depression. We human beings are descended from tribes. In the back of our brains, we're wired to work alongside other people, to live with other people, to share and care and love and express our feelings with other people. That's just how we are wired. That's hundreds of thousands of years of wiring passed down to us even today. And we live in a society now where we're going more and more secluded and pushing ourselves away from the community and pushing ourselves away from other people, but our brains still have that need. They still have that desire to be surrounded by other people. And so when we're missing that, there's something in the back of our brains that's really getting triggered and making things go haywire, and depression arises. Now, I'm not saying you have to constantly 24/7 put yourself around other people, surround yourself around other people, because realistically that would probably just drive you insane. But what I am saying is that you regularly should be around other people. You regularly should hang around your friends. You should hang around your family often. You should go out and take classes. You should be around people at work if you can do that. You have to be around a community. You have to be around a tribe. You have to join a club or group or class where other people have interests similar to yours, and you can connect and bond with these people. These types of things will build that sense of community in your life. And if you get this once, twice, 3 times a week, I mean, if you got a little bit of it every day, that'd be great. And then you could go home and be by yourself then. That would probably be ideal. But getting this once or twice a week is a minimum. And you definitely need to do this. Because if you don't, you seriously risk being depressed just over this one simple fact. It sounds so stupid. It sounds a little bit crazy nowadays when we're all staying home more and more and we're living on our phones, and we don't necessarily need to go out and build fires and build homes together like they did hundreds of thousands of years ago, but we still have this desire to be around other people. And when we shut that off, that depression will definitely rise, and it can cause a lot of problems in your life. This one little area can cause major problems in your life. But the good thing is, if you build a sense of community and you regularly have that in your life, the depression can just as easily go away. The third best way to overcome depression, which honestly I really considered putting at number 2 and even number 1, because I love this one so much, but the third best way to overcome depression is self-hypnosis. So everything that you come across throughout the day, all of your interactions, all of your experiences, all of the inner dialogue and self-talk that we talked about earlier with the gratitude step, the 70 to 90% of the inner dialogue that you're having that's negative or non-productive, everything that you come across throughout the day is an input. Even the inner dialogues is an input to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the most powerful part of your mind. It's basically like a film that just records everything that you experience, and it's neither good nor bad. It's just recording what you're putting into it. So all those inputs are basically the coding of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind will control your feelings and emotions. So if you have negative inputs throughout the day, the outputs that you have, the feelings and emotions that you have are also going to be negative. If you have depressive feelings, depressive thoughts, depressive interactions with different people, that then gets translated to you feeling depressed. It translates to you feeling down, and then anxious or panic attacks or whatever else. Like, all those things get combined together to give you those outputs. That's why the subconscious mind is so powerful, and that's why the subconscious mind is so key to feeling better and to actually getting past depression. If you can somehow tap into this subconscious mind and feed it positive coding, feed it good programs, all the inputs that are coming into that subconscious mind are then going to have outputs that are beneficial to you. So of course, one way to change that coding is to fix that inner dialogue like we talked about in the first step with the gratitude, and change that 70% of negative to like a 70% of positive. That's one way to do it. Also, having better experiences, changing your environment, being around other people, like changing all the inputs that you come across on your day-to-day basis from negative ones to positive ones will change that coding and reprogram the subconscious mind. But there exists a better and faster way to actually tap into the subconscious mind and change the programming and the coding a lot faster and a lot more efficiently. That way is through self-hypnosis. So when you do self-hypnosis, you tap directly into the subconscious mind, because if you think about it, you can't just say, I want to feel good, I want to feel happy, I want to stop being depressed. You can't just say this consciously. When you're using your conscious mind right now to watch this video, you're thinking consciously, you're thinking actively. The subconscious mind is like a program in the background that you can't consciously control. So you can't say, I want to be happy, I want to feel good, I want to feel confident, and then all of a sudden you feel happy and confident. But what you can do is do something called self-hypnosis, or hypnosis in general, which taps into this part of your subconscious mind and helps you reprogram exactly the things that you want to program. Again, I won't dive into too much detail of how this whole process works because I've talked about it many times in the past, but to keep it really simple, the most effective way that I have found to use self-hypnosis is to simply go online and get an MP3. Whether you find one for free or whether you buy one for like 10 or 15 bucks, they'll probably both work great for you if it's the right type of thing. So when you get into self-hypnosis, you just probably spend about 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes, getting super relaxed. You're in a meditative-like state, and you throw on your MP3 and you're listening to the hypnotist walk you through basically a guided meditation of you getting into the induction phase where you're super relaxed, and then you get into a highly suggestible state where you tap into that subconscious mind and you start to feed it positive programs like you're feeling better, you're getting over your depression, you're very grateful for all the things you have. You're in this state of mind where you're very susceptible to suggestions, and these positive suggestions, these suggestions are going to be positive, and they're going to reprogram that negative programming that you're having throughout the day. All those negative inputs are now going to be overridden with positive inputs. These positive suggestions from that hypnosis tape are going to override all those negative stimuli, so you can actually have positive stimuli after this session. Self-hypnosis is, in my opinion, the single best way to tap into your subconscious mind and reprogram it the things that you want to have. All those negative inputs can now be positive inputs, and your outputs can now be very positive outputs. The depression, the anxiety, all the other crap that you're facing can be overridden when you actually reprogram those things and get them away from your subconscious mind. So there are a number of ways to tap into the subconscious mind, but in my experience, self-hypnosis is the best way. I recommend doing it every single day for at least a month and seeing how you feel. My guess is you're going to start to feel really good after just a few self-hypnosis sessions. The second best way to overcome depression and keep it off for good is to have a purpose. Having a purpose means having a reason for living. It is the reason why you get up out of bed every single morning. It is the reason why you get excited about life. It is the reason why you look forward to every single day. That's what a purpose is. So from a very young age, you are conditioned away from your purpose. You are conditioned away from thinking and feeling and believing in the things that you want to think and feel and believe in. You are conditioned to think like everybody else, to be of a sheep-like mentality. You're told to go here. You're told to do this. You're told to eat that. You're told to go to bed at this hour. You're told to go to school for X amount of years and then find a job that you don't really care about but that pays well. And all of these things over time slowly break us down and make us forget that there's actually more of a reason for living. There's a true burning desire inside all of us about having a purpose and actually enjoying our lives. So it's really no reason why that depression rate is skyrocketing. We are conditioned from such a young age to forget about our purpose, to forget about our true reason for living. We have no real calling. There's no real reason for us to get out of bed every morning to be excited about life, because we're all doing the same rat race types of things, the same monotonous, boring things that just kill our souls and drive us down instead of actually fulfill us, get us excited, and bring us true happiness. You're like many people out there who are depressed, you're probably missing a true purpose. You probably don't have something that excites you, something that thrills you, something that gets you to get out of bed every morning and just take on the day with enthusiasm and vigor. You are missing a key ingredient in your life that you need to have. You absolutely have to implement this into your life, or you're going to continue to be depressed. You're going to continue to fall into the shuffle and have that sheep-like mentality where you're thinking like everybody else and just kind of buying along the way and sitting on the sidelines of life. You got to get back into the game and figure things out. Figure out things that really fulfill you. Figure out things that you really want to do. Figure out your passions and things that excite you that you probably always wanted to do but you never got your chance to do. That's really the key here, is actually figuring out the things that you're passionate about, the things that you really love, or the things that you always wanted to try. And you go about doing this by trying those types of things, by having those experiences. And then once you figure out that you really enjoy these things, you really love them, you can make these things your purpose. You can make this your purpose in life. For the reason for you to get out of bed every single morning, to be enthused about the day because you're doing this one thing. It so fulfills you in so many ways. It excites you in so many ways. It gets you energized in so many ways that is your passion. You want to go about every single day fulfilling this. You want to chip away at this. You want to do this thing every single day because it excites you. You're no longer thinking like a sheep anymore. You're no longer thinking that you just have to work 9 to 5 and then go home and sleep and do it all over again. You're thinking you want to get up every morning, do the thing you're passionate about, do the thing that you're fulfilled about, do that purpose that you have, because that is the most important thing in your life. That job you're working is not the most important thing in your life. That purpose that you have is the most important thing in your life. And when you have a true purpose, it is almost impossible to be depressed, because that purpose will supersede everything and basically just push the depression out of the way. But the number one way to overcome depression and keep it off for good, the single most important way, is to love yourself. So this one might seem a little bit lame or perhaps even a little cliche, but it is 100% true. If you want to overcome depression, you have to find love within yourself. So there are an infinite amount of ways and causes of people's depression. The list goes on and on. Literally, you can think of anything that could potentially lead someone to being depressed. However, thinking about it, depression is really a experience of the past. It is a mindset of the past. It's not of the present moment. It is you feeling like you missed out on something, feel like you lost something in the past, perhaps you did lose something in the past, or feeling like you regretted something or you could have did something differently. All of those things go into something that has happened in the past, which is now causing you in the present to feel depressed. And my hypothesis is that at the true root of the source of something that you're missing or lacking or regretting from the past is actually a lack of self-love right now in the current, which is triggering your thoughts of that past event and causing you depression today. So it sounds a little bit complicated, but essentially if you boil down the root of depression in pretty much everybody, it comes down to a lack of self-love today, because something happened in the past and whatever it is, and there's all kinds of shit and there's horrible stuff that happened in this world which lead to people being depressed. I'm not blaming anybody for any of that shit that happens. I'm simply calling to the attention that a lack of self-love of what has happened to you now, what has happened to you in the past, of lack of self-love today, right now for yourself, is what's triggering that depression to continue to go on. And if you can think about this and overcome whatever it is that happened to you in the past, because again, we all have faced shit and terrible, horrible things in life, doesn't have to affect us today in the current moment. In fact, by continuing to feel depressed, you are actually empowering whatever happened in the past to continue on and have a hold on your life today. If you can just get past that by simply loving yourself more, whatever you're missing or lacking or regretting, that's okay. Things happen to all of us. None of us are perfect. We're all human beings, which means we are all flawed, and we have all done stupid things in the past, and we have all lost things in the past, and there are things that we may never get back again. But loving ourselves in the present moment today is the best thing that we can do for ourselves to overcome this depression. So how do you practice self-love today so you can get past your depression for good? You do that by taking care of yourself. You do that by going to the gym regularly. You do that by eating healthy. You do that by sleeping 7 to 9 hours every single night. You do that by building a community around you of good people, by surrounding yourself with good people, by practicing gratitude, by journaling, by meditating, by doing hypnosis, all those things that you know are beneficial to your mind and body. You do those every single day, because when you look in the mirror, you want to see someone who's smiling back and knowing you're putting your best foot forward. Now, of course, there are times when you're going to be depressed. There are times when you're going to grieve. There's times when you're going to lose. There's times when depression is actually a good thing for the short term. It gets you out of different things and helps you to get all those feelings out of you. But if you continue to be depressed, if you continue to be down for the rest of your life, you can never get over those things, and the rest of your life is going to be miserable and unfulfilled. And the best way to overcome this, in my experience, is to simply stop practicing self-love, loving yourself unconditionally despite any of the shit that you've gone through in your life, despite any of the crap that you had to face and overcome or lost or whatever happened to you in the past. Don't let it affect you today. Practice self-love and put your best foot forward, and I guarantee you that depression will go away. But that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like below, and also share in the comment section what your #1 favorite way for overcoming depression is. I want to know what you've done or are doing currently to beat depression. Also, as always, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification bell to get notified the instant we release a new video, and follow me on Instagram at Justin Stenstrom.